Hi and welcome everyone to our monthly series called the Cultural Navigator webinars. Today's featured topic is keeping learners engaged supported by the Cultural Navigator. Today we are dialing in from Bonn, Germany, and we are really pleased to be joined today by Ken Belanger, the Managing Director of TMC, as well as Karen Eden, who is the leader of the Working Practices group in TSystems. And so my name is Lynne Tarter. I'm happy to join you, and I'll be your host for today. And I'll walk you through the first couple steps of the slides today. So welcome, everyone. Let me do a quick audio check with Lakeisha, our producer, Lakeisha Ward. Thanks so much for being with us today, Lakeisha. Can you confirm you can hear me?
Yes, I can hear you fine.
Great, thanks so much. All right, so let's get started. We have a couple of housekeeping items that I want to go through with you. In order to reduce the background noise during the presentation, all participants will be muted throughout the webinar. You can type questions in the question box at any time during the presentation so that you can stay involved. We'll reserve approximately 30 minutes at the end for a moderated Q&A session. We are recording today's session. After the webinar, we'll share the link with all of you, and we will also put it on our corporate website, tmcorp.com. When we switch presenters, you'll see a little pause in the presentation, so stick with us. All right, a little bit about TMC as an organization before we get started. We help companies execute their global business strategies through training, web tools, and consultative solutions. So we are a blended approach to learning that supports skill development at the organizational, team, and individual level. We also help facilitate the development of global leadership skills, leadership communication, cultural agility across the organization, enabling you as a client to achieve your business goals and maximize performance. So with that, we really want to find out who's on the line with us today. So if you could, let us know, what's your role in your organization? Is it talent management, organizational development, training, or business line leader? If you have other, go ahead and write that into the question box and let us know who's on the line with us. All right, let's see who we have today, Lakeisha. All right, lots in the training division. Thank you so much. Great. Really happy to have you with us today. All right, let's take a look at what we're going to cover today. Let's focus on the agenda. So we're going to share a current viewpoint on corporate learning. Today we're going to focus first on the impact of globalization and how that has impacted learning. We'll talk about engagement and how that's also critical to achieving your learning objectives, and then what social learning is all about and how that plays out across the Cultural Navigator platform. We'll also talk about keeping learners engaged and for long periods of time, ensuring that learning stays a priority in the organization and is fostered on a regular basis. And then we'll focus on the Cultural Navigator. And today's guest, Karen Eden, is joining us from an organization called TSystems here in Germany. And they are owned by Deutsche Telekom. So quite a large organization, and we have been partnering with them in a consulting engagement here in Bonn, Germany. So we're excited to have her join us today and share her perspective on how the Cultural Navigator is really helping her organization focus on learning. All right, so a couple of slides about the current viewpoint on corporate learning first. So I just love this graphic with Ronald McDonald in a yoga pose in a land that is certainly not in the location where McDonald's first started. So really it's a great opportunity for us to focus on globalization and its impact on business and specifically on learning. So really a great opportunity for us to focus here is the United Nations Population Fund quote from 2006, and that just kind of reinforces that today the number of people living outside their country of birth is larger than at any other time in history. And so we have a lot of more foreigners, if you will, than any other time in history. So a couple of other thoughts for us as we kind of jump into this. Globalization has kind of created these trends of uniformity that is giving way to diversity. And so having to really think about the different ways of learning and the different ways of addressing our customer base is really important for us in a learning environment. And the borders of time and space are completely disappearing. And so virtual work is becoming more and more important to us and provides a very important training agenda as well. The generational spread in the workforce is becoming wider as the older population is working into their 60s and 70s. And so we're getting to a point where we have 5 generations in the workforce instead of 4. The gender shift is also becoming very important with women's economic empowerment initiatives being really quite important around the world. And that hasn't always been the case, right? So lots of important initiatives around that. And in general, the population is extremely culturally mixed. And on top of that, pretty sophisticated. The mobility capability on all levels is pretty high. So you have people traveling on a regular basis outside of their home culture. So the sophistication level is significant. And that impacts us in, in terms of understanding the different cultures and being able to leverage our capabilities in learning at what TMC positions as the 6 levels of culture. And so our thought leadership reveals a pretty complex picture of culture. And we identify 6 distinct levels at which culture affects our daily lives at work. And particularly for this learning opportunity in this webinar, we really focus in on the 6 levels of culture that affect the learners and how they're engaged. So really, we start with the individual. And Lakeisha, if you can just hit the forward slide there, that's fantastic. So really, the employees have been doing more with less for almost a half a decade now. And this won't change. And that started with a downturn in the economy. It has not changed. We have not progressed there. We haven't gone back to the employment levels of pre-recession. Skills around parallel processing and multitasking are absolutely essential. Distractions abound. We have information deluge, information overload, rapid succession processing of tasks, and it reduces productivity. We're just not as productive as we used to be. And flexibility is really emerging as a key talent and almost as a right as opposed to a privilege. So that working environment has to change pretty significantly as well. From the team or group level, complexity is really every leader's biggest concern. Command and control is giving a way to coordinate and cultivate as a leadership mantra. And at the societal and national level, the functional level, the group identity level, those are all significantly impacting how our learners are engaging and how they are motivated to learn. And then finally, at the organizational level, organizational management structures are really changing from hierarchical organizational structures to compartmentalized cross-functional horizontal paradigm. Discipline and systems migrating from manager level to internalizing within work groups and peers, so self-directed teams. And decentralization really is giving away to multi-centralization. So you have multiple points of authority, and being able to navigate that is a pretty tall order. So a couple of other thoughts that we want to share with you. Really, the digital age is really impacting learning as well. And as we become more mobile, the workforce, reality of the workforce is that really employers have to turn their attention to tapping into the knowledge and really erasing those boundaries that make us a little bit less capable of moving into new markets. And so if you think about the globe image that's on your screen right now, a couple of stats for you just to kind of have you thinking. Really, at the about 40% of the global workforce has some kind of flexible work arrangement. And virtual workers are found to really have more employee satisfaction than office-bound peers, which is interesting as well. According to the International Data Corporation annual tracker, Europe has the lowest percentage of mobile workers with only 12%, followed by Asia, which is minus Japan, with 19%, Americas with 22%, and the highest mobile worker saturation rate is in Japan with 65%. So with the same kind of concept in mind, we really have to look at retooling our workforce and being able to really focus on the up-and-coming next skill sets. So those include digital skills, which includes the ability to work virtually, agile thinking skills, which really is focused on the VUCA world of today, the volatile, unpredictable, complex, and ambiguous world that we live in and work in every day. Interpersonal and communication skills, which include virtual teaming skills, and then global operating skills. And really this is focused on the ability to manage a diverse group. So with that in mind, we really want to look and focus on engagement. And how do we get these learners engaged? Right now we have about 35% of the employee workforce across the world engaged. So that means 65% is disengaged. So that's according to Towers-Watson, by the way. In the corporate environment, according to ASTD, their State of the Industry report from 2013, organizations spend about $1,195 per year on training. So considering 35% of the workforce is engaged, and we spend $1,195 per year on employee training, then what are we really focused on? So there are two different tracks, right? How to attract individuals and then how to retain individuals. And just kind of looking at the top 5 priorities from the employee perspective, really base salary is what both attracts and retains employees. But number 2 starts seeing a divergence in attraction. In terms of attracting employees, job security is number 2. But on the retention side, career advancement and opportunities is number 2. So that's where training can really benefit the retention numbers for an organization. Number 3, though, in attraction is as well career advancement opportunities. So again, training really is going to contribute to increasing those not only attraction numbers but also retention numbers. But you also see number 5 under attraction, which is learning and development opportunities. Again, that's $1,195 going towards training with only 35% engaged. So we want to make those dollars really pay off in the learning and development industry. So if I can move us to really what impact social learning is having on your organization as well. Social media is pretty much forever changing the face of learning. 80% of corporate knowledge transfer takes place through on-the-job interactions, whether that's synchronous, asynchronous, virtual, or face-to-face. Borders of space and time around learning and knowledge transfer are completely disappearing. Conversations about controversial topics are happening whether a corporate engages in that conversation or not. Dissatisfaction in the workplace actually travels really quickly and really can break a learning initiative. Social learning allows for a constructive approach, so learning that engages participants and really sharing that knowledge transfer, being able to create solutions together with their cohorts is critical to really developing a capability inside the organization. All right, so at this point I really want to get to how do we keep learners engaged, and this is going to transfer us right into the approach with Karen Eden and with TSystems, what we're doing here in a consulting engagement. And really our focus in keeping learners engaged is really 3 things if you boil them down. It is to know the learner, to feed the learner, and to connect the learner. And so to know the learner really is to know what they want, to understand the demographics, to understand where they're coming from. Are they a virtual or are they a face-to-face? Are they in headquarters? Are they in a subsidiary? And what motivates them? The feed aspect of it is really, making sure that knowledge is available for them 24/7, always on the go, at their desktop, on their tablet, on their cell phone, making sure that we're feeding it to them, that we have repositories that they can come and get the information as well. And then we want to connect the learners. So we want to make sure that they're part of a community of learners. They're part of practice groups. They're part of communities of excellence, and that they can engage in knowledge transfer and really sharing with their counterparts on a regular basis. So those are our three components of really expanding on keeping those learners engaged. And ensuring that across organization, across the world, we're able to meet the demands of globalization from a learning perspective. So with that, I want to introduce both Ken and Karen, and they're going to focus on what we've been doing here with TSystems and how that relates to the Cultural Navigator. Ken?
Great, thanks, Lynn. So, welcome everybody. Welcome, Karen. Thank you very much for joining us today. As you know, TMC works with clients to help them execute their global strategies, and we do that in a number of ways, and Lynn talked about that before. We're working here with Karen to help TSystems execute their transformation strategy for 2015, and we're doing that through helping them develop and look at some learning solutions utilizing the Cultural Navigator. Just to give a little bit of background, TSystems is going through this Transformation 2015 program. They're looking at expanding through a global footprint, looking at the European market. They have looking at goals in terms of taking innovation to the next level, being a leading supplier in every market and relevant markets in which they operate, and looking at, they have consumer and business clients, and having business clients at the front and center going forward. So how do you transform the workforce and support learning in terms of that? So it's been great working with Karen and her team here over this past year and a half, as well as now we're kicking into implementation phase on the project. So Karen leads the Future Workforce Solutions area here, and she's got a lot of experience in this field. She worked at Oracle before with organizational change initiatives, and is deeply engaged in this work, reports directly to the board member responsible for these initiatives globally for TSystems. So Karen, having said all of that and looking at at the work out in front of you, how does the Cultural Navigator support the execution of your business strategy, as I talked about in the Transformation 2015 for TSystems?
Yeah, we're looking, we're at a point, as you were saying earlier, so many great things coming from Lynne. We're talking about a time where people can learn any time, any place, anywhere. We want to transform our organisation to be much more agile, and really the Cultural Navigator really helps us in terms of being able to understand ourselves better as individuals or in a team or as a leader. So these are critical things for us in terms of using the Cultural Navigator. We're also, this is fitting in for us within a bigger story. So we started, I think we had our first conversations 2 years ago, and for us we were looking at how we can try and drive the organisation to be more open and collaborative in the way that they're doing things in a more transparent way. And I brought with me some experiences from Oracle around working virtually. And for me, there were many topics that were interdependent upon each other, and so the cultural awareness piece was a large part of that. So we tie that in with the creation of a huge amount of videos and the Cultural Navigator. So that was the key thing for us. And we started, as you know, 2.5 years ago in these discussions.
Excellent. So when you look at the implementation of the activities coming out of this with an implementation is important because the devil's in the details and it's in the execution. Keeping learners engaged and supporting and the ultimate achievement of the transformation. What's your vision of keeping them engaged in terms of some activities, quick wins, and approaches that you see?
the content, the devil's in the detail, as you say, and the content is absolutely critical, but a large part of it, the 90% of the work is the last 10% of the project, and that's where we are, right? You know? So we're building out really pilots where we can look at specific groups of people or individuals, so leadership teams or teams as a team development activity. So we're really trying to use the tools in embedding them into our processes, in the HRD processes, in our executive management processes, and tying it back to the measurements within the company, like our surveys and different elements. So for us, I mean, telecom is very Germanic. It's very, in the moment, still in a command and control kind of thinking overall, and we're trying to move this through the standard processes so people take much more accountability.
Excellent. No, that's good. And as Lynne was going through those phases of know me, feed me, and connect me in terms of an engagement of keeping learners connected. You know, the know me part of understand me, you know, understand where I'm coming from as an employee. Feed me, so make sure that there are tools and technology and programs available for me anywhere, anytime. And then connecting me, making sure I'm connected to the center, to what's going on in terms of strategy, in terms of where the company is headed. Can you elaborate on that in terms of those specifically in those three areas, what TSystems is engaged in?
Yeah, so if we think about know me, we're thinking about many dynamics of an individual. So it's me as a person, me as an employee. We're guided in the company by our principles, our leadership and our guiding principles. And so from that perspective, it's who I am and how I fit in with everybody else. This is really important for us. And we tie that back to many elements of the different topics within working virtually. If we think about feed me, I mean, we all need to be fed, but we need to also feed ourselves. Yeah? And we're at a point in learning and development where we want people to be accountable and do things to teach themselves and help themselves. We give them tools, but we really want people to be enabled to do it for themselves. So we give them some food, but they have to help themselves from the buffet. Honestly, this is really where we're going with the story. In terms of Connect Me, what I really love about the initiative is there are elements within Cultural Navigator to connect people, but what we've really done is tie that back into our internal connections. So we've got a tool called Telecom Social Network, which is based on Jive. That's our internal collaboration tool. We've got other tools as well, obviously, but this is a main one for connecting for us. So we've tied those two things together because we have the single sign-on, critical for us. Yeah. So I hope that answers the questions on know me, feed me, connect me.
Absolutely, definitely. So one last question in terms of, you know, as you go through 2014 and 2015 and implement these activities, what does success look like for you and for your team and for your board members?
It's a really good question. It's a really tough one to answer at the moment. You know, and this is something I bring with me from Oracle. Actually, success doesn't look like something, it feels like something. Yeah, this is really, it's really about how you feel and how an organization smells to you, how you feel in this environment. Do you feel that you fit? And to me, in this cultural topic, you have the chance to make yourself fit because you're part of its definition. And this, for me, is where the connectivity piece comes. If you take part, you become part of the definition. And that, for me, is, I mean, this is giving everything on a plate for you, for me, being part of the decision-making process. Yeah. And that's for me.
Definitely. Okay. All right.
Super.
Karen,
thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you for your patience with me.
Lynne, over to you.
All right, so just a quick recap on some of the things that we've shared with you today. You know, we kind of looked at the globalization demands on corporate learning and how engagement is vital to making sure learning sticks, and those social learning elements that are emerging as more and more important to learning engagements. And we heard Karen's perspective for TSystems on how she's going to plan on keeping learners engaged at the TSystems level with us as partners in the Cultural Navigator, but also kind of the idea of know me, feed me, connect me. She made a great point about the feed me part, right? So put the food out at the buffet, but learners have to be self-directed in order to actually go and get it and pick and choose wisely in the things that are going to benefit them. We have a rich tool called the Cultural Navigator that allows for the buffet to be available at any time, 24/7 to organizations, and that's really where this partnership has hit its stride. So we're so excited to launch this initiative within TSystems and look forward to learning and developing capabilities for them and keeping their learners engaged. So a couple of quick closing thoughts before we then move into a question and answer period. And Karen and Ken are both going to stay on the line with me and field any questions that may come up. So please make good use of that question box today because this is a great chance to learn from someone who's on the ground with the Cultural Navigator and implementing. So a couple of closing thoughts. Lakeisha, if we can move to the next slide, that'd be great. So I want to just review the we're not going to go through a question. We're going to make sure that we have some key pillars of the Cultural Navigator identified for you that really it's personalized to the individual level and every user can customize to their level of need and interest level within the content of the Cultural Navigator. Really it's collaborative. It's intended to be a collaborative learning tool so that you can connect with others and build your network outside of your normal reporting chains. If you can go to the next one, Lakeisha. We have created it so that it is relevant to the organizational level, and in fact we're building that out here in the next few days for TSystems to make sure that the organizational level imperatives and the organizational initiative of 2015 is actually represented in the tool from beginning to end for the users, and then it's representative of the product offerings that TMC has as well. I hope that you can join us for the next sessions coming up. We do this on a monthly basis, and we hope for the next opportunity to stop into a client's office and broadcast live from their offices. Hint, hint, we are looking for locations for the next couple of sessions, but April 15th we're really going to focus on supporting an international assignment featuring the Cultural Navigator, and right after that we'll go to Strategic Performance Frameworks in Action with the new Cultural Orientations Guide, which is being published as of April 2nd. It's hitting our shelves, so stay tuned for more information on that. And so if I can close the recorded portion of the session, thank you so much for joining us. We move into the question and answer period. We will turn off the recording and go through the question and answers or question box and provide